I'm so much happier out here. And so when I look at all the things, just even, especially coming from New York, I'm like, I have space. Like, that is wealth to me. Good weather, waking up in the sunshine, hearing the birds, like being able to have such a sense of gratitude every day, that makes me feel rich on the inside as well as the outside. Hey, he said you're giving feline energy. Yes, I am. My parents are both from Kenya. I had not been back in about 17 years at that point. Like, I needed to come home and find out my identity like on my own and be able to explore that independently. So yeah, I just booked a one-way flight and thought it would be like a month or two. Ended up falling in love with it. Stayed 6 months till the visa was up. It was after the fact. People were like, wait, you did what? Like, you moved? Like, when are you coming back? And I'm like, not. She's not coming back. Because of the misconceptions that people have about Africa, maybe I thought there would be a number of things that, you know, I have in the States that I would be missing here. And honestly, aside from Amazon Prime, I can't say that there's much that you can't get in Kenya that you can get in the States. Hi, my name is Sally Ngoche, and I relocated from New York City to Nairobi, Kenya last year. Hi, welcome to my home in Nairobi. Okay, this is the house. We have the living room here, beautiful, bright space, lots of natural lighting. Yeah, it's just kind of my sanctuary. Have truly made it an extension of me and my personality. I love color, as you can probably tell. Yeah, so we have a sitting area, a nice balcony outside that I spend a good amount of time just like reading, relaxing in when the weather allows. And yeah, then we have the kitchen area over here. So I usually take my meals over here, just have like my bar stools, keep it easy. Yeah. And then going further into the house, this is my guest bedroom. So when I have family, friends come stay, I just have created this cozy area for them. I've got these swing seats that I'm hoping to get up soon. But yeah, I think they'll definitely elevate the space. So I've always loved travel, and I definitely, when I studied abroad for the first time in 2017, got an inkling of an idea that I would love to take a sabbatical, spend more time abroad long term. And so after I had started working in New York City, was working in consulting, project management, and was also running my business, was, you know, hitting a lot of milestones and goals, and I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling as happy as I felt like I should be at that stage in my life. So when a number of things lined up, I made a plan when I started my first job out of college. I had a boss that he said off the record, he was like, you know, I recommend that everybody take, you know, a 1 to 2 year career break, a sabbatical. So that definitely gave me the idea, okay, I'm going to start saving now, and maybe in a couple of years, that's something that I'll be able to do. So yeah, after a couple of years working, things lined up, and I just really felt called to come to Nairobi. My parents are both from Kenya. I had not been back in about 17 years at that point, which felt like I needed to come home and find out my identity like on my own and be able to explore that independently. So yeah, I just booked a one-way flight and thought it would be like a month or two. Ended up falling in love with it. Stayed 6 months till the visa was up, literally. And then I started planning how to come back more full time. So last year I made that move. Did some traveling in between, was creating content, you know, just sharing my journey. And then, yeah, ended up back in Nairobi last year. And then over here, we've got the guest bath. It's pretty similar to my bathroom as well. So just shower, bathtub, yeah, nothing too special, but these big, beautiful windows that I absolutely love. And then here we've got the master, the Queen's Palace. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Have nice big windows, which I keep open a lot just to let air in. And then my bedroom over here, have this nice beautiful stand, try to have some greenery. Um, this is the bedroom. I love the amount of closet space I have. I love clothing, so I feel very blessed to have a ridiculous amount of closet space out here that I did not have back when I was in New York. And this is my princess balcony. We love her. She's very spacious. I feel so grateful for this apartment. It's honestly my dream home. So every single day I just wake up and I come out here, I smell my fresh thyme and mint, and I just take in another beautiful day in Nairobi. Not today though, because it's raining a little bit. My day today, girl, it was so sad. I was working remotely, which I did prefer, but I wake up, roll out of bed. There's a Teams meeting. There's a Teams call. It was very. It was a bit depressing. Like when I think back at it, I could go how many days without even, aside from my roommates, like leaving the house or seeing other people, would be at the computer screen for, I don't know, anywhere from like 12 to 15 hours a day, eating my meals in front of my laptop, just working. And I was so anxious and stressed out because I don't know, I had so much pressure on myself. Like I have to make it right now. And I very much felt like I was running out of time. It wasn't great, but I've definitely, coming to Kenya has taught me how to relax, how to pace myself a little bit more. And also the fact that I don't have to do everything alone. Like when I started my business, I was in the kitchen, I was making the products, I was shipping the products, I was marketing the products, I was building the website, and it was burning me to the ground. So that, like, I don't know, it could have been an 80-hour work week that I had. It was not healthy. It was not a good time. And yeah, it showed me in a lot of ways what wasn't meant for me, which I think is so important when you're growing up and just figuring things out, to be like, this is not meant for me, and this is. And even the work I was doing, it wasn't inspiring me. I was like, I'm making some billionaires richer, and that doesn't feel like what I'm supposed to be doing. That doesn't feel like the reason that God put me on this earth. So it definitely took a lot of bravery to step out on faith and be like, let's take a bet and a chance on ourselves. But it is the best decision that I ever made. And I hope in every lifetime I find that courage within me to do it again and again and again. So I didn't know what to expect at all, and I didn't do too much research. I was like, let me just come, fresh eyes. I noticed immediately how warm and friendly everybody was. Like I think, especially coming from living in New York City, like, people don't really say hi to their neighbors. Like you pass people in the street, here people smile at each other. They're so warm, they're so helpful. So that immediately just made me feel, even though I was here by myself and like I didn't know anybody, I never felt lonely during that time. So that was one thing. I noticed, what else? It's a lot easier in Nairobi to make friends than I found it in the States. I think, I don't know if it's that there's maybe more third spaces or just that people are more open, but I definitely have had an easier time just like starting to build community and find like-minded people. So that definitely I noticed as well. I was happily surprised with that, and just the conveniences, like you can get assistance or like help to do essentially anything out here. So that has also made the transition a little bit easier. Just the ease and like convenience that we don't have in the States. Like you can call a boda and be like, hey, I need you to take my passport to this location. You could never do that in the US. So I definitely appreciate that as well. So definitely affordability has been a huge thing coming out here. I've found it, like New York is the most expensive city in the world. So I have definitely found that I am able to live a much higher quality of life here in Nairobi compared to New York. And even if you were to cut your salary in half, you could come to Kenya and have a better quality of life. So I found I'm able to indulge in some more luxuries, like whether that's wanting to go out and eat out with friends more often or go to the spa, things like that. They're at a much more affordable price point, and I definitely acknowledge Nairobi is getting more expensive, as there's a lot of expats moving here, and that's definitely just affecting like the economy. But still, in terms of quality of life, my quality of life in New York, and trust me, I was doing well. I was making a good amount of money, but my quality of life was in the trash. I mean, even compared, like just talking about rent and stuff like that. Um, I was living with like two roommates in New York, like two strangers, and I am probably paying half of what I pay in terms of living costs out here, and am able to have my own space. So yeah, definitely the quality of life that adds to that, just being things being more affordable. So even fresh produce, being able to yeah, get like organic vegetables and all of that. Like if I do that in New York, it's like, okay, well, guess we're not going out to eat like at all this month. So yeah, it makes a big difference. So when I left the US, I was working in corporate consulting, project management, a little bit of product management as well. But I also had my own business, Mawa Organics. So it's a hair care brand for curly girls. So I wanted to make a product that would help women with curly hair just have easier wash days. I didn't like the whole 10-step process and everything. So I spent about 2-3 years creating the products, getting the line started, and I made it with the intention always of sourcing all my ingredients from East Africa, from being able to do production out here, hire out here. That was always the goal. So when I came initially to Kenya, I had brought some of the products and I was like, let me see if there's, interest actually in this market since people were asking. I did some pop-up events, and I ended up launching here by accident. We did a production shoot and I was getting ready to go back to the US that week. And some of the videos got leaked and there was just inquiries coming in. So we were like, let's just own this moment. The video blew up, had like 1 million impressions. And I was like, this timing could not be worse, but this is also clearly a sign that like there's a market here for this. So yeah, so I came back to Kenya and working still to, just get my production and like team together. But so now we're doing all of the production, all the sourcing out here, sourcing from women artisans, from farmers at fair trade prices. And then I as well do content creation. So I started that when I first came to Nairobi, and was very much doing like the travel thing as I was, on sabbatical, going to different cities, living in Mexico for a while. And now it's heavily been focused on my relocation journey and just like my lifestyle and everything out here, sharing that experience with other people who might also want to relocate or have dreams of moving to Kenya or anywhere else. And as well, I have definitely had some different opportunities that have I felt a lot more inspiration out here, just creatively. So right now I'm actually planning my first event for Sally's Social Club, which I am super excited about. I just had so many people reaching out asking like, hey, like, I've just moved to Nairobi, or like I'm coming to Nairobi. I don't know how to meet people. Where are the girls at? And I didn't feel like there was a perfect space where something that's in between, nightlife and, just going out for a cup of coffee. So I said, let me just create a space. And there's been a lot of really like positive feedback, a lot of interest. So I'm really excited to have that event in the next couple of weeks. And then I took my consulting experience and just decided to start doing travel consulting. So when people come out here, if they're looking for something like an itinerary or help planning their trip, or even just questions on like my relocation journey, I do consultations for that. And hopefully before the end of this year, we'll have a group trip in there too, which I'm really excited about.
Hey Web Nation family, something real is happening now. Spots for our November trip 2026 is actively being taken, and people are booking now as you watch it. That means this is no longer an idea, it's happening guys. It's real. If you've been watching these stories and you are feeling that pull and you're telling yourself, I will do it someday, that someday is now. Right now, you can secure your spot with just a deposit. Now, if you want a payment plan, then your deadline for payment is this April 30th. The question is simple. Are you coming? Click the link in the description now to secure your spot, or scan the QR code, and I'll see you in South Africa. Now, let's get back into the video.
So one thing, I was And I think this speaks to like just everywhere that's outside of the US. But so in the US, to be able to get an apartment, you need to have a certain credit score, you need to have a certain amount of money in your bank account. Like you have to prove in so many ways, essentially, that you're worthy of having a house to live in, which is crazy. Versus you come out here and there is a plethora of apartments, houses, just options to choose from. And they're not doing, all these background checks. So it just made me realize like a lot of those systems in America are made up, and they create a lot of stress for people. So I would say the fact that that doesn't exist here, it doesn't exist in a lot of places. Like everybody is entitled to be able to find a home. And I think also something that I love about Nairobi and Kenya in general is there is such a range of like high and low options. So, there's some people that are making a lot of money. There's some people who are making $10 a day, but there's options for everyone. So whether that's in terms of living, in terms of food, I think there's a much bigger range than in the U.S. I would like in the U.S. I don't know many cities where you can pay under $1,000 in rent, and even at that, it's going to be really tight and living with a whole bunch of people. So that I've definitely noticed. So I've been able to cut my expenses a lot here. And I think that's just because the cost of living is different, but it's definitely made it easier for me to save. So I think when I was in the States, there would maybe be like a anxiety every time I spent money, because every single time I swiped my credit card, like I felt like, I would leave the house and it's like, oh, $40 just blew away. That's crazy. But so I can move without that anxiety, and that lightness definitely makes a huge difference. Yeah. I feel so much more free. I am so much happier here for a number of reasons, but especially financially, I think the US has become so exorbitantly expensive. Even making a high income out there, my quality of life did not feel anywhere as good as it, does out here. Like I wasn't able to indulge as much in self-care. I wasn't able to be so free with my money. Like every time I would spend, I would feel like, it's like, oh, like this pinch. And I don't know, I think it's definitely helped, just like my mental and like just being able to be relaxed. The fact that the cost of living is just more breathable, more affordable. That's definitely been a huge plus with coming. It's completely starting my life over. I think it sounded crazy to everybody, to family members, to friends. They were like, girl, like, what do you mean you're going to Africa? Like, what are you going to do in Kenya? And I mean, they also had a lot of their own misconceptions. So I think they don't know how good I have it out here, which definitely led me to start sharing on social media. But sacrifices, I think, especially in terms of my career, I had this outside of corporate, even with my business, I had this feeling that I have to be successful in an American context. Like, then, that's what makes a successful person or a successful business person. So I had to break down those things and ask myself, who gave me that idea? Who decided that success means sacrificing my sleep, sacrificing being able to show up in my social circle, sacrificing having community? There were all these sacrifices I was making, and I realized when I came out here, nobody is, forcing me to do these things. I'm in charge of my own happiness. So I had to really break down and let go of these long-standing notions of what success looks like and start to redefine it here. And I feel like I'm still like, it's an everyday challenge. I'm figuring out like, how can we do entrepreneurship in a way that is a little bit slower, a little bit softer? Like, I don't need to be a millionaire tomorrow, but I'm a hell of a lot happier here in Nairobi and doing things, even being able to build in community here. That wasn't something that I was able to do in the US. Felt like I had to do it all on my own. So I think sacrificing, or maybe more so letting go of those notions, has been big. I think there's definitely, when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's maybe more earning potential than there might be in the typical job market here in Nairobi. But I've also had to sacrifice, I think, the traditional path to take a chance on me and take a risk and say like, okay, maybe we can figure this out for ourselves. But also, I think coming to the idea, because it's so expensive in America, I felt like I have to make this certain amount of money, like this many dollars every month and whatever. And out here, I think I'm able to put less pressure on myself. Like it might not look like the same dollar amount, but overall, the quality of life is so much better. So I'm actually okay sacrificing. Like, I don't need to make $1 million a month to be happy. Absolutely not. That was something that I struggled with a little bit. I will say I got very lucky. I met my best friend one of my first weeks in Nairobi. She's over here in the background taking B-roll for me, and she's just the most loving and supportive person, and definitely opened up her arms and community to me, and has introduced me to so many people and just different parts of Nairobi that I think coming here on my own, like at 26, I was terrified. And so that made a big difference. But I think I'm still building community every day. I found a great community in the church. And that has been amazing to just meet other young people my age who, some of them are from here, Kenya, some of them are from the States, also doing like similar or different endeavors out here. And I think it's very important to me to have people who are aligned value-wise. So I would say while my circle is still pretty small, I'm building that out. And even with the social club that I'm launching this month, I think that's going to be a great opportunity to just bring in different people from the diaspora, whether they are here short term or they're here long term. I think there's so much more room to find like-minded women, entrepreneurial women, creative women. So even though it definitely took a while for me to feel like, okay, I'm finding my people, I feel rooted. Yeah, it's definitely something that's still blossoming, and I'm grateful for the people that I've met thus far. We're at Nomad Corner. It's a cafe, a bar, a creative workspace. So we've come here today for lunch. They have Sudanese and East African food. I was just introduced to this place recently, but I really love it. There is beautiful photography, beautiful interior designs, and I just love to be in spaces that inspire me, where I can meet other creatives and just mingle. So yeah, we're excited to be here, and you should definitely check it out if you're in Nairobi. I feel like a completely different person since I've moved out here. I am happier, I'm more creative, I have so much more peace than I ever knew that I could have. And so that was something that just made it instantly feel like home. It was like, it just clicked. I mean, I spent my entire life in the US and I never had this level of peace, of comfortability. I think being in a country where the majority of the people are Black and look like me, and it's just my Blackness is not the first thing that people see when I enter the room. Like I can just be, like I'm just a person that I had no idea how much that was a weight on my shoulders. So just having that off me, I feel like there's a lightness that I have that I wasn't able to have in my life in the US. And I think just the peace that I have out here, I'm so much happier. I look back at old pictures of myself and I'm like, I don't even recognize that person. Like I, yeah, the happiness has been unmatched. I love it in Kenya. I hope that this could be my forever home. Even I'm someone who likes to travel and will keep exploring the world. But in all the 16 countries that I've been to, this is definitely where I'm the happiest. And that definitely probably has a little bit to do that, this is where my family's from. This is where I have roots. But I think it's the everything for me, the better quality of life, the better air quality, the food quality, finding community and friends, having a home that I love and I can just make my own, and even the creative connections and opportunities that I have. It fills me with so much life. So I wake up every day with such a crazy amount of gratitude. So that happiness, it's amazing. I think I have become a lot more of a confident person. I always considered myself as somebody confident, but being able to move continents alone with no help and just figuring things out as they come, I feel like if I could do this, like I'm very capable of doing hard things. And so that definitely instilled me with a lot of confidence. I have become somebody who's not afraid to do things alone, even big things. Like I've always been independent, but I definitely have proved that there is a whole new level to that. So that's another thing. My values have definitely changed. I value community a lot more. And honestly, I think a lot of my goals were very I've always been goal oriented, but were maybe more like hustle focused and thinking about the outcomes and financials. But I think my values in terms of what's important in life, like yes, those things are still important, and I want to be able to sustain and even like build out my life to just meet my expectations and all of my goals and dreams. But I've realized there's a lot more things that are important beyond just hustling and achieving. So yeah, I've become a lot more grounded, a lot more centered, a lot closer to God, a lot more rooted in community. So yeah, those values have definitely changed for me. So before I came, I was very deep in my hustle culture era. Was working a ridiculous amount of hours a week, just very committed to my goals and my business and my job. And so coming here, I think I've definitely, the pole pole has resonated with me. And I've definitely learned how to slow down, how to appreciate the slow days, the boring days. I think yeah, I don't know. I was so burned out and my nervous system was just completely out of check when I first came. And so even learning how to relax, how to slow down, that was a big thing for me, like when I initially came. And I think it's definitely changed my outlook on life in terms of having more balance and even redefining what does success look like for me. So, when I was in New York and I was hitting all these goals, career goals or like things that, might look flashy to people and impressive, but internally I just was so unhappy. So I think the changes that I've made in my life since moving out here, I feel like a completely different person. I feel happier. I look happier every time I talk to my parents. They're just like, Kenya is definitely good for you. Like, this is where you're supposed to be. I am a wealthy woman out here. By every standard, I feel the wealthiest that I've ever felt in my life. Wealthy in health, wealthy in friendships, wealthy in finances. It's all the things. And I think that is probably one of the biggest changes and realizations that I've had, that wealth is not just about money. I'm so much happier out here. And so when I look at all the things, just even, especially coming from New York, I'm like, I have space. Like that is wealth to me. Good weather, waking up in the sunshine, hearing the birds, being able to have such a sense of gratitude every day, that makes me feel rich on the inside as well as the outside. And then again, like everything I've said in terms of quality of life, it's like, it doesn't even compare. So I would never trade places and go back to the rat race in the States and maybe you're making this other dollar amount, but the lifestyle, the just mentally, spiritually, I feel so much wealthier here. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a mistake, but right before I came back, there was when I still felt a lot of pressure, like I have to make my business work in an American context. I have to do things here first before I can, move to Kenya and live out that dream. And so I kept trying to work with different production people and manufacturers and facilities in the US. And I took it from a sign from God when things were not going the right way. There was a lot of money invested there. But I think when things didn't work out, like, yes, that was heartbreaking, but it also definitely let me know, like, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. Maybe because things haven't fully worked out and all the boots on the ground here, that gives me the opportunity to make them work somewhere else where I'm more happy, where I'm more creative. So I try not to think of anything as like a regret or a mistake, but as a learning lesson. I think I learned a lot from that experience, and it's definitely made me cognizant as I'm building out my team here, as I'm building out my company and all the different things I'm doing, to be careful, to make sure that I trust the people that I'm bringing on. And when things don't work out, it's not the end of the world. So even that, I think, as much as it bruised me financially and my ego a little bit, it let me know, oh, okay, I can walk away from this and the dust will settle. So I think that even gave me a push in the bravery, like, let's try this in Kenya. Let's see how things go. fear creep in, and I questioned, was this the right decision? Like, are things going to work out the way that I wanted them to? But I think I'm getting better at silencing the part of me that gets afraid. And again, just having like self-trust and self-reliance that God didn't move me here for no reason. And that things are going to work out the way that they're meant to. But yeah, no, definitely. I think doing anything that's risky in life comes with a lot of fears, comes with doubts. But it's about the faith being louder than you let the doubts speak. Yeah. There was a really rough period, maybe like at like month 6, where I don't know, it was just like a string of bad luck, and like one thing after another was going wrong. Like, I think it was just around the time my social media started taking off. I got my phone stolen on Ngong Road. Beware of Ngong Road if nobody has told you. And there was just a lot of things that it felt like were going wrong, and I was trying to get my house together, and scammers and so many things happening. And for a minute I was just like, am I like really tough enough to like handle this and figure things out on my own? Because I came with no help. I didn't have a relocation service, anything like that. So it was like, there were a lot of blows. It kind of felt like at one point, like, I gotta kick me on my back, like what's really happening? But that was just a brief period in what's been an amazing year overall. But yeah, no, there's definitely been moments where I'm like, God, like, am I moving in the right direction? Like, show me that this is where I'm meant to be. But I think definitely finding more community, especially in the church, um, following that period, that definitely helps me a lot with just self-regulating and knowing like, okay, everything doesn't have to be figured out today, but what do I have control of in this moment? Like, and yeah, leaning more into that than I let the anxiety. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I would love to still be living in Kenya. I think I see my future as one that, I consider myself a global citizen. When people say, where are you from? I'm like, the world is my home. So I think I definitely see still a lot of traveling between Kenya and other places, whether that's in Africa or in the US, and just being able to take advantage of the different opportunities in different places that present themselves. I definitely see my brand growing and taking off, being able to distribute in the US, in Kenya, and other parts of Africa and Europe. That would be amazing. As a creative and a content creator, I'm definitely excited on that front, because I feel like with moving to Nairobi, I've let myself dive into my creative life a lot more than I felt like I had the freedom to in the States. So I would love, content creation to be something that is fruitful and giving me different opportunities on a global scale, and able to work with more brands that are aligned with me, able to inspire more people who, want to make a similar change in their life. That's super important to me. I think at the root of everything I do in all my businesses is empowering women, inspiring women. So yeah, those are the things I see. I feel like I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I have a lot of trust, because I feel like I'm more alignment now than I've ever felt. So I just trust that things will continue to unfold as they're meant to, and hopefully, lots of pesa, lots of, rolling in, and, being able to use that to bless my community, to create jobs for other people. That's something that's super important to me as well. So, yeah, slowly but surely, we are going to be building out the empire, and I'm excited for that. I would tell my younger self, because she had so much fear and so much anxiety about the future and how things were going to work out. I would tell her it's going to be okay. Everything that is meant for you cannot miss you. So continue to follow your gut, continue to follow your instincts, continue to let your creative flow and be inspired by just the life that you're building. And if you're happy, you're going to be in more alignment, and that's going to make for an easier path forward and more clarity. And no, you don't have to have all the answers, but I think that's a big part of faith, and just having trust that, you know, God is never going to take you down to your last. You are going to be absolutely fine, and everything's going to work out the way that it's meant to. So just, baby girl, take the risk, shoot your shot. It's absolutely going to be okay, and more than okay. There's so many blessings on the other side of your fear. So just continue to step into your light, and everything that's meant for you is going to find you in the right time. Your intentions are what are really important. So if you're going abroad, whether it's to Kenya or to anywhere else, I would hope that the people doing that have positive intentions, have honest intentions, because, you know, sometimes you see these videos and people who are coming here and taking advantage of other people because maybe their position or the wealth that they have in this country versus back home. And I think, I don't know, there can be very ugly outcomes when people don't have positive intentions. So I think if you have a clean heart and you're doing it for the right reasons, absolutely. But otherwise, I believe karma is very real and everything comes full circle. So if you don't have positive intentions, if you don't want to build, if you are just doing it for selfish reasons, then I don't know, like, I honestly, we would love to not see more of that in Nairobi. So I'm totally here for the people that genuinely love Kenya, love Kenyans, want to integrate themselves, want to build beautiful lives that don't just benefit them, but benefit the community around them. So it's also important that those goals aren't just insular. I think in America, it's a very individualistic society, and here things are very communal and community driven. So as I make decisions, even as a founder, as a creative, I think about how is this going to impact the community? How is this going to help other people? How is this going to inspire other people in wanting to have a positive impact with everything that I'm doing? So it's like if you're doing more harm than good, I think I would challenge you to sit with yourself and question your motives before you move abroad.